All right, let's see exactly why white liberals are going to justify an invasion of Iran so they can bring down the prices of their gas so they can go to work for cheaper.
This hour to Nick Robertson, who is in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, where, Nick, the Defense Ministry has just released a statement that 2 drones were intercepted and destroyed at one of its largest oil refineries. Nick, the Ras Tanura refinery is hugely economically significant. What do we know at this point?
Yeah, it's a very massive, sprawling facility. I've been there on a number of occasions before. It covers a vast area and is very important to Saudi Arabia's economy. It can produce capacity about 500,000 barrels of oil a day. That's a significant number. What we're hearing from the spokesman at the Ministry of Defense here is that 2 drones were intercepted as they were flying towards that, or in the vicinity of that refinery. These drones were intercepted. Debris fell. There are no casualties. And the spokesperson saying that this falling debris lit a fire in the area. This is obviously an area of concern for Saudi Arabia, thinking here of the the foreign ministerial level GCC virtual meeting that happened yesterday, a joint statement from those GCC foreign ministers talking about a very strong diplomatic signal saying that they had the right to take all necessary measures to protect their security and stability. So it comes within that context. Very clear diplomatic messages being sent from the Gulf states to Iran, and that fits in with the picture of the attacks that were witnessed over the past 24.
The great thing about this is the Iranians are so smart, I wouldn't put it past them if even the interception itself, they calculated the trajectory of the shrapnel falling on places where it needs to go, because they're just that much more intellectually able, rather than the Americans who are just shooting things out the sky because they're mad their oils are getting like messed up and prices are going up, which oil companies don't care. They're getting more cash. People need energy. But for the most part, our energy grids are functional still on like coal, oil, and like a bunch of like old school shit that we're hopefully is not going to be that bad. But again, this is going to be a lot of very detrimental action to our economy because Iran knows exactly what we're funding when we go to these wars, and it's the drones and the missiles, which they openly complained about. I think Trump had a meeting earlier where he was talking about we don't have the high quality missiles, we just have the ones that can sustain a war for indefinite amount of time, which proves that if we want to do some really intelligible strikes, they're hiding the number of actual missiles that we have, or they're going to try and push this agenda that we're incompetent so that they can show competence later. So
for 36 hours in the Gulf.
The Strait of Hormuz, a major shipping route in the Middle East, is under threat, and the oil tanker Skylight was struck off the coast of Oman. Now, these strikes have caused oil to rise by nearly 9% during trading today. U.S. stock futures are also rattled, taking a dive before trading begins this morning.
God, I would hate having a car right now. And even if you guys say you have electrical, the electrical bill goes up because a lot of it is still functional on the oil and gas. They power a lot of these generators on old school systems of energy. So your energy bill is just going to go up overall.
Morning. Now, CNN business and economics reporter Anna Kubin joins us now from London. This happened over the weekend, obviously, but now markets can react. Can you talk about what you're seeing?
Yes, Audie, well, you've sketched it out there. We're seeing markets react pretty negatively to this. We're seeing stock indices across Asia and Europe in the red today. And of course, US futures are pointing to a very difficult day ahead for Wall Street. But I will focus on oil, which you've mentioned, which is what all investors really are looking at today. That global oil prices, Brent, which is the global benchmark, rose as much as 13% this morning, which is an enormous jump and really reflects the anxieties that traders have about whether or not global oil trade will be disrupted through that all-important Strait of Hormuz, that tiny waterway through which a fifth of the world's global oil supply travels every single day. Now, even if Iran, which partly controls that strait, hasn't fully blocked it, many shipping companies are voluntarily avoiding it because of the security risk. Maersk is a Danish shipping company. They've blocked all their vessels from going through. And even though some traders are imagining that the disruption to oil might last a very short amount of time, there is a concern that this will become a prolonged prolonged disruption. And in that case, some analysts are betting that the global price of oil will hit or even top $100 a barrel. I also just want to quickly point out airline stocks falling today. Of course, there's been huge disruptions with airlines and airports all around the world. And gas, European gas prices.
Limiting logistics, limiting movement, limiting the whole trade. It's a full-on war. They're just trying to eliminate anything they can, anything they want to, because the ideology in and of itself is going to be a continued sustainment of why they need to go to war for oil, while telling you it's for fear of threat of terrorism, while they're going to show you they're going to let their guard down on purpose so they can let some strikes hit some places to show capability, or capabilities rather, so they can strike and kill whoever they want as an excuse and then invade for the oil. Probably going to sit back and be scared of the tunnels. Oh my god, they might kill us, while just taking as much oil resources as possible. It's just a traditional attack with the military of the United States trying to back the idea that when we try and invade a country for either mineral resources or oil for that matter, we're still going to try to fight this idea that we're doing it for the greater good of all humanity. While the majority of people don't want to go to war, veterans are getting their arms broken just to protest because they're getting brutally removed from places where they can have their voices heard. So again, this is going to be a repeat of Vietnam, a repeat of Afghanistan, which they said they won in Afghanistan. Meanwhile, they cry about all the stuff they have, but they ignore them completely because now they're busy building infrastructure, which if you're busy building infrastructure and you already have infrastructure built, it's just going to be another sustained war that, again, North Korea is a very reminiscent idea, but the technology wasn't as advanced as it is now. So we're more worried about the sustainment of a continual economy that's going to be a war machine in the Middle East that is only going to be exchanged by getting more oil, which again, if one of the proxy states start going to war like Lebanon or Syria or Afghanistan, we're going to go right back to where we came from in order to attack proxies. And then you have a scattered out army and military that is reminiscent of the withdrawal that they again bragged about ending wars, and then they started one of the forever wars.
Is up around 23% this morning because Europe relies on much of the LNG, liquefied natural gas, travelling through that all-important Strait of Hormuz.
I want to talk about that with Iman Nasseri, the Middle East Managing Director for the energy consulting firm R.B.G. And as oil traders, good to have you, sir. As oil traders scramble this morning to assess the extent of the disruption of oil supplies, these pictures from Saudi Arabia of the fallout and intercepted Iranian drone today will likely add to those nerves. I mean, we're looking at rising oil prices, and I'm going to get those up on the screen now. This is an increasingly widening regional conflict. What is your assessment of the threat level to energy supplies at this point?
Thanks, Becky, for having me back. Yeah, energy supplies are basically at risk. We have three types of energy supply at risk at the moment. One is as Iran is being attacked, and basically the ultimate aim by President Trump might have been announced to regime change. There is going to be a risk of supply disruption of 2.5, 2.6 million barrels per day of oil from Iran. But the bigger current situation that the market is dealing with is the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, which basically...
I'm glad we got all these missile silos down so we could talk about the oil pipeline.
20 million barrels per day or more, and adding 5 million barrels of production.
The biggest threat of Iran, shipping oil. You know how they go. Oh no, guys, we're here for the nukes. Oh, how's that oil doing? How's that oil? We need some more energy. Gas prices are up. Don't worry, we'll bring that down. Don't look over there. That's a smoke cloud. You know, mentality of most Americans wanting to lower their Costco gas card and getting all their cards lowered in interest rates because all these banks are going to invest in stocks of oil and do whatever they can to get more money and resources, and then blame this war for justice and all the good things in the world, while they get to extract as much money from the naive people who watch the propaganda that tell them that they should send their sons and daughters to a war zone that they don't have any business being at.
That is more than 20% of oil supply in the market going through this passage, which at the moment has been halted to a great extent. They have been talking about one or two vessels owned by Iranian or Chinese going through, but a significant amount of that flow has been disrupted. That is significant. 20 million barrels per day of supply every day not going to the market. And the last but not least, which is yet to be basically unfolded and has started over the past day, but more so today, is the attack on energy infrastructure in other countries than Iran. We heard about the headline of Saudi Aramco Ras Tanura refinery. We heard about the Kuwaiti refinery once a few days ago, 2-3 days ago, the beginning of the war with debris falling, and then again this morning.
I think this guy's, again, gonna just go over the points I was just talking about. He looks like he goes through all of the talking points here about the Middle East, the prices of oil. It's just, again, an analysis that's going to be accurate because they're used to these wars where they extract all the infrastructure. This analysis, again, is not exactly the best analysis because it comes from CNN. CNN itself doesn't exactly push the anti-war talk, but more this is what's happening, the news. But don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more analysis of this. Of course, this guy, I'm going to predict it. Watch.
The countries have started to set some policies against exports, such as.
Yeah, they're just, again, going against the war. They don't like the export of people, the old school sanctions, tariffs, yada yada. They're cutting trade with people that can cause them messed up trade with America because America owns the whole infrastructure of international trade. So it's just going to turn into a trade war mixed in with actual bombing of a lot of the boats and ships that go through the Gulf, which is going to be a reminiscent of our prices going up, and then they're blaming that because Trump promised grocery prices to drop, as well as a bunch of other prices to drop, but instead he's going to blame a war on it. You know, escaping accountability is kind of these Republicans things. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Of course, this is going to go on forever, so you're going to see more coverage of this, so don't worry. We're going to get new perspectives. We're going to see new drone footages probably, and we're going to see their new excuses that they're going to push.